In one of my other recent videos, I promised to do a part 2 where I told you other terms that I think can help you win when writing offers on homes. In that other video, it was about escalation clauses, and this video, I'm going to talk about the complementary terms that you can use. I'm Betsy Repaske, and I'm a realtor here in the mountains of Colorado, where it has been a very hot market for the last couple of years. So I have a lot of experience writing highly competitive offers that win my buyers the properties that they dream of. So those other terms that we use in addition to an escalation clause, which go back and watch that video, escalation clause sort of addresses the price factor. But what else can we write to win? Our overall goal outside of price is making the seller feel as comfortable as possible with our offer. And by comfortable, we mean has the best chance of making it all the way to closing, because it can hurt a property's overall chances of selling if it has to go back to market, because then you can become a little tainted. Other buyers worry that there's something wrong with it. So we want to do as much as we can to convince the seller that we're gonna make it all the way to closing. And we do that by removing the roadblocks that in a less competitive market, we would include in an offer, and those roadblocks are also contingencies, or I like to refer to them as the windows through which you can climb out of an offer. And those are your appraisal contingency, your inspection contingency, and there are other contingencies that we write into offers, such as title, but title's not something I'm ever really comfortable recommending that you remove from your offer. But there are ways that we can mitigate the risk of an inspection contingency and appraisal contingency and keep the seller happy while still protecting you a little bit. On inspection, you may have heard that some people you know had to remove their inspection contingency altogether. What I prefer to do is write a termination only, which means we still get an inspection done, but it means we're not going to go back to the seller and renegotiate that price. Because especially if the price gets bid way up, it used to be in less competitive markets that buyers would try to use their inspection repair requests to get that price back down. By writing only on termination, it says, hey, we're still gonna check out the house and make sure it's not a lemon, but we're not gonna ask you for any repairs. Our option is either take it or leave it. So we've sort of found a compromise with the seller on, you get to have an inspection, but we're not gonna try to beat them up on price. And the inspection has to come up bad enough that you're like, no, we truly don't want it anymore. But if that happens, you do get to get out of the contract. And then on the appraisal, you can waive the appraisal entirely if you truly have the cash to make up how much we think it might come under. Or we can write an appraisal gap where we say, hey, I will pay $10,000, $20,000 over the appraisal amount. And so you're saying this is how much extra cash I'm willing to put in over the appraisal, but you don't end up having to pay an infinite amount more over the appraised value to come up to your original offer price. Kind of like that appraisal gap, the one thing I didn't mention on the inspection is that sometimes we'll even write in an inspection gap that says on top of, hey, I'm not gonna ask you for repairs, I'm only gonna walk away if it's bad enough that I no longer want the house. We'll even say, hey, I can't terminate unless the total cost of repairs in that inspection are found to be $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, depending on the price point of the home and your comfort level with doing repairs. We say, not only will I not terminate, I have to prove to you that there are more than $20,000 worth of repairs in order for me to have the right to terminate. So again, there are ways that we can come to a compromise where you're not fully waiving your protections as a buyer, but we're giving the seller a little bit more comfort so that they think that we actually are gonna make it to closing. And of course, like that, there are little ways that we can give the sellers other things outside of the inspection and the appraisal, but those are the two biggest contingencies that usually make a seller nervous. Other things we can give the seller is the closing date that they want, if we're capable of doing that, if we're capable of closing quickly because they want that, or they want our rent back. And those are less about making it to closing and more just little incentives, which honestly could be a whole separate video on its own. So if you guys are interested in that video, please let me know and leave a comment below.